The latest Days of Our Lives spoilers hint that Sophia Choi may be heading toward a shocking and possibly dangerous exit, one that could leave Holly Jonas caught in the middle of a nightmare she never saw coming. And if Sophia is already setting the stage, then this may be much bigger than a simple grudge. Because the real twist may not be whether Sophia is in trouble. It may be whether she is about to turn herself into Salem's next victim, and make Holly pay the price. Let's break down why Sophia's recent words feel so suspicious, and why this story may be building toward a dark twist that changes everything. One of the most telling moments in this storyline may not have been a threat, a confrontation, or even a crime. It may have been a conversation. When Sophia spoke to Tate about Holly, she was doing more than venting jealousy. She seemed to be shaping an image. Instead of simply attacking Holly's character, Sophia subtly pushed the idea that Holly was hostile, emotionally volatile, and capable of taking things too far. That distinction matters, because it gives Sophia's words a possible long-term purpose. In soaps, the most dangerous lies are often planted early. They do not sound like lies at first. They sound like hurt feelings, defensiveness, or emotional honesty. But later, once something terrible happens, those same words can suddenly take on a very different meaning. That may be exactly where this story is headed. If Sophia vanishes, turns up injured, or is presumed dead, her earlier comments about Holly could become more than personal drama. They could start looking like warning signs. That is how suspicion gets built in Salem. Not always through hard proof at first, but through emotional groundwork that makes a theory feel believable. And Holly would be an ideal target for that kind of setup. She already has history with Sophia. She is already emotionally tied to Tate. She already has the kind of visible connection that could be twisted into motive. So if Sophia is planning some kind of disappearance, she may not just be planning how to escape. She may be planning who gets blamed when she is gone. That is what gives this storyline its edge. Sophia may not be thinking only about revenge. She may be trying to control the entire story before the story even breaks. The line that may end up mattering most is also the one that felt the most personal in the moment. When Sophia warned Tate to be careful what he wished for, the scene carried more weight than a typical emotional jab. It did not sound like a wounded girl lashing out. It sounded like someone hinting at consequences Tate could not yet see. That is why the moment stands out. The line felt less reactive than deliberate. And if that was deliberate, then Sophia may already know what kind of shock she intends to leave behind. What makes that possibility so interesting is that Sophia's goal may not be limited to hurting Holly. Tate may be part of the punishment too. If Sophia disappears under disturbing circumstances, Tate could be left replaying that warning over and over, asking himself whether he missed the signs or pushed her closer to the edge. That kind of guilt can be just as damaging as any direct accusation. This is where the story starts to feel larger than romantic conflict. It stops being just about jealousy and starts becoming a psychological trap. Sophia may want more than attention. She may want emotional devastation. She may want Tate and Holly trapped inside a crisis neither of them can easily explain or escape. That would fit the version of Sophia the show has been building lately. She does not seem interested in walking away cleanly. She seems more like someone who wants her exit to leave scars behind. Not only emotional scars, but consequences that ripple outward after she is gone. If that is true, then her warning was not just memorable dialogue. It may have been the first signal that she is already moving pieces into place. The strongest twist hanging over this storyline right now may be the possibility that Sophia fakes her death. On the surface, it sounds extreme, but it also fits the pressure closing in around her. Sophia has already been pulled into something far more dangerous than personal revenge. Her connection to Kristen's scheme against Johnny changes the stakes completely. Once she became tied to that plot, this stopped being messy teenage drama and started looking like a situation that could destroy lives very quickly. From that perspective, disappearing makes a lot of sense. A fake death would give Sophia a way out while also throwing Salem into confusion. It would buy her time, redirect suspicion, and potentially protect her from being cornered once the truth about Johnny starts coming out. In practical terms, it may be the smartest move available to someone who suddenly realizes she has gone too far to simply back away. But the most compelling part of this theory is that it may not come from confidence at all. It may come from fear. That changes how we read Sophia completely. Instead of a girl calmly executing a master plan, we may be looking at someone who feels trapped and is making increasingly reckless choices to survive what she helped create. And that kind of fear can make a character even more dangerous, because panic tends to produce the most chaotic decisions. If Sophia believes Kristen cannot be trusted, if Johnny's situation is spiraling, and if Salem is closing in around her, then staging her own death may feel like her final chance to regain control. The irony, of course, is that a plan like that could create even more chaos than the danger she is trying to escape. So if Sophia suddenly disappears, the biggest question may not be who harmed her. The real question may be whether Sophia engineered the entire mystery herself before anyone else had the chance. If Sophia is trying to stay one step ahead of everyone, there is one problem she may not be able to outplay: Kristen DiMera. And that may be the detail that turns this whole storyline from dangerous to genuinely terrifying. Kristen and Sophia may be working toward the same outcome right now, but that does not mean they are truly on the same side. Kristen does not build partnerships the way normal people do. She builds temporary arrangements. She uses people for as long as they are useful, and once they become inconvenient, she has no problem cutting them loose. That is why Sophia's position in this alliance feels so unstable. The most important thing here is not whether Kristen trusts Sophia. She almost certainly does not. The real issue is whether Kristen still sees Sophia as worth keeping around. And that calculation could change instantly if Sophia fails. If the plan against Johnny falls apart, Sophia does not just become a disappointment. She becomes dangerous in a completely different way. She becomes someone who knows too much. She knows Kristen's motives, Kristen's involvement, and the kind of secret that could destroy everything if it gets exposed. For Kristen, that is not a complication. That is a threat. That is why the fake death theory becomes even more interesting once Kristen is fully brought into the picture. Sophia may believe she is creating an escape route for herself. She may think she can vanish, leave Salem in confusion, and avoid the consequences closing in around her. But Days of Our Lives may be setting up something far darker than that. Because what if Sophia is planning a fake tragedy at the exact moment Kristen is deciding to eliminate the risk for real? That is where the story gains another layer. Sophia may think she is manipulating the narrative, when in reality she is standing in the path of someone far more ruthless. If that is the direction the show takes, then Sophia's biggest mistake may not be targeting Holly or getting tangled up in the Johnny plot. Her biggest mistake may be believing she can safely walk away from Kristen once all of this is over. And if that illusion shatters, the result may be brutal. What begins as a calculated setup could suddenly become an actual tragedy, not because Sophia wanted it that way, but because Kristen refused to leave a loose end behind. No matter how Sophia's exit unfolds, Holly may be the one who feels the impact first and hardest. That is what gives this storyline such strong dramatic potential. Holly does not need to attack Sophia, threaten Sophia, or even make one reckless move to end up in serious trouble. If Sophia has already planted the right emotional clues, then Holly may be vulnerable before the real crisis even begins. And that is what makes this setup so effective. It does not rely only on evidence. It relies on perception. If Sophia disappears after making Holly sound unstable, angry, or dangerous, Salem may start connecting the dots in exactly the wrong way. Suddenly, Holly is not just Tate's girlfriend or Sophia's rival. She becomes the most convenient explanation. In a town like Salem, that kind of perception can spiral fast. Once the suspicion starts, facts often arrive later. That would place Holly in an almost impossible position. She would be forced to defend herself against a version of the story that may already feel believable to the people around her. And the emotional cost of that could be enormous, especially if Tate is caught between what he feels, what he fears, and what the evidence seems to suggest. That is why this possible twist hits so many layers at once. It is not only about whether Sophia lives or dies. It is about what her disappearance does to everyone left behind. Holly's life could be thrown into chaos. Tate could be crushed by guilt and confusion. And the relationship between them could come under pressure at the exact moment they need trust the most. That may be Sophia's final move in all of this. Even if she leaves Salem, even if she is presumed dead, even if she never appears on screen again for a while, she may still control the emotional fallout from a distance. That is what makes the storyline feel so sinister. The damage does not end with Sophia's disappearance. In some ways, that may be when it truly begins. So if Tate receives shocking news soon, the twist may not simply be that Sophia is gone. The real shock may be that Holly is now trapped at the center of a nightmare she did not create, but may have no easy way to escape. And if that happens, Salem will not just be reacting to a tragedy. It will be reacting to a trap that was designed to keep hurting people long after Sophia vanished. So in the end, Sophia's tragedy may not be simple at all. This could be a fake death plot, a revenge setup, a botched escape, or a real murder mystery with Kristen waiting in the shadows. But no matter which version unfolds, one thing feels increasingly clear. Sophia's exit may be designed to explode long after she disappears. And if Holly is the one left carrying the blame, this story could spiral even further than viewers expect. So what do you think? Is Sophia planning to fake her death and frame Holly? Or is Kristen about to make sure Sophia never gets the chance to run? Let me know in the comments, and if you want more Days of Our Lives spoiler breakdowns with deep analysis and dramatic twists, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications.